Welcome to each and every one of you. My name is Selena, and I'm going to be your host this evening. Welcome to this new episode of AfriTech Connect, which was founded by Angel Guy. And this is a space where discussions unfold to explore the forefront of spatial technologies, project management, inclusive leadership, as well as wellness, all across the AfriTech community and the Mauritian society at large. And what's interesting for today is that our theme is centered around accelerating actions for women with tools in project management. And without further delay, I want to introduce to you our speaker of today, who is none other than Geshna Ballgobin. And Geshna is passionate about technology and a problem solver at heart. She began her engineering journey at the University of Mauritius, and a decade later, with a master's degree in project management, she leads multiple digital transformation projects at MTEL Limited, and as a proud AfriTech alumna and the partnership manager at Women in Tech Mauritius, she's committed to bridging the gap in STEM and actively works towards inclusivity in the field. Her goal is also to positively impact people's lives with technology, inclusive leadership, and kindness. And on this note, I want to say a very warm welcome to you, Geshna Ballgobin.
Thank you so much again for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. And I'd like to start talking about the topic of today with a quote from David Rockwell that says, every project is an opportunity to learn, to figure out problems and challenges, to invent and reinvent. And Geshna, since we're speaking about projects, could you first of all simplify and define what is a project?
Well, I would like to take the definition that the PMI has for projects. So basically, the PMI says that a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. And I'll just kind of break down this definition. So what we mean by a temporary endeavor is that a project has a very defined duration. So we have a very clear start and end date. And as you would see, projects do not just happen by accident. It's very purpose driven. So maybe we are trying to solve a problem, or we want to address a market gap, or we just kind of want to fulfill a strategic objective. And what we say by unique is that it's not part of your day-to-day job. In operations, we tend to do the very same thing. Maybe it's different things, but it kind of has this repetitive feature to it. But a project is very unique, and it's kind of there to create a new product. And a product can be a website, a mobile application. By service, we can have a new customer support portal. By research, by results, sorry, it can be a research. Let's say you're doing your PhD, that's a project in itself, or you want to do a market analysis, that's a project. So that would be what a project is. So it's temporary, it has a clear start and end date, and it's creating something that is unique, and it has a very clear vision and objective that it wants to achieve.
Thank you very much for that definition. And as you said, it's a unique product or a service or result, but it also has a clear purpose. And what's interesting at the same time is that every human being is impacted by projects. We always have different types of projects that are running in the background or at the forefront of our lives, whether at personal level, whether for work, whether for business purposes, whether for extracurricular activities. I mean, everyone is impacted by projects. But how about the management of projects? Can you explain to us what is project management in regards to that?
So project management is basically, as we can see here in the slides, the application of knowledge, skills, and tools to make sure that we're meeting the objectives of that project. And the Project Management Institute, again, defines 10 knowledge areas. And among those 10 knowledge areas, so you have the quality triangle, which is the time, cost, and scope. And of course, the quality that the project manager has to manage to ensure that, of course, the project is on time, is on budget, and is fulfilling the scope that we've defined. And of course, is of meets the required quality that we want to have. And then, of course, we have the risk management. So, what are the factors that are impacting the project? Then we have the stakeholder management. Well, it's about how do you manage people who are impacted by the project or who actually impact the project. You have communications management, integration management. So, basically, I would say it's basically an orchestration of different areas to be able to, at the end of the day, fulfill the objective of the project and make sure that it creates value. So what we're doing here is creating value for people who for this project is meant to. And at the end of the day, we're kind of turning a brilliant idea into something that is tangible. And basically, yes, of course, creating value. I think creating value is a very key component of project management.
I like the fact that you shared that creating value is a key component. And to better understand that value, can you share a little bit about the benefits of project management?
Yeah. But before I kind of dive into this question, I just want to reflect on a very startling statistics is that according to the Harvard Business Review, only 35% of projects are considered successful. And I genuinely believe that a large part of this comes down to the undervaluing of project management. Because too often teams embark on projects thinking this is something small, we can handle it, we don't need a project manager. And somewhere along the way, the essence of the project gets lost. And 2 months down the line, no one remembers why the project started in the first place. That's where the project manager comes in. So, project management brings structure, clarity, and control. And one of the first benefits of project management is, of course, goal setting and accountability. So, what the project manager does is that they ensure that the project has a very clear objective and that everyone in the team is working actively and is contributing towards achieving that project vision. And then, of course, we have efficient resource utilization. Efficient resource utilization is like, for example, I know, let's say I'm building a mobile application or I'm building a website. So I know exactly what are the different resource and skills that I need for that particular project to happen in a good quality. So I would make sure that the right people is there, the right skill set is there at the right time of the project to be able to create that value, to be able to deliver that product or service. And then, of course, stakeholder management and communication. So as I said, creating value for the people the project is meant for is very important. And let's first now define what is a stakeholder or who is a stakeholder. So the stakeholder is anyone who impacts the project or who is impacted by the projects. So let's say, for example, we're going to do coral reef replant. I mean, we're going to do some preservation in terms of coral reef. So we have a lot of people who are impacted by that. Of course, we will have our marine biologists who would be involved in that project, but also we have the fishermen of that locality who would be impacted by that project. So it's important to kind of look at the project in a very holistic manner to be able to identify who our stakeholders are and make sure that they are informed or consulted in that project. So to ensure that we are creating value for those people. And then, of course, communications. We often hear that communications is 70% of projects, and I can truly attest to that because without communication, a project would not happen. So I would say that yes, those are the benefits of project management.
Thank you for that insightful sharing. And it's so true that when we realize that project management is not always like a one-way road to everything or a one person do it all, it's actually based on so many different factors and having people around and processes in place, as you shared, like setting clear goals, having accountability, involving like stakeholders and how to better utilize resources as well are different components that are essential to better manage a project. And how do you feel the line of project management has actually changed over the last decade? What has been the evolution over the last 10 years?
Well, I would say that project management has undergone massive transformation over the past decade. Um, And I think that comes a lot with technological advancement because now, if you look at the construction industry in itself, today you can see a multi-story building built up and running in 6 months when that would have taken years earlier. And also with COVID, I like to take this example of COVID. COVID was like 5 years ago, but I really think it has really impacted the way that we work. So I would say with COVID and then everything that is collaborative tools, managing remote and global teams has become something that is normal and mainstream. Project managers are now managing projects across time zones and geographies. And I think that adds another challenge for the project manager because work cultures differ. How we work in Mauritius would differ from how we work in France or UK. So that different work culture, how you would communicate with that team member would differ. So it really adds another challenge because then need to understand how to kind of engage that particular team member. But also, I think it's also fair to say that with digital tools and automated tools, the burden of the administrative work has significantly reduced. And also the role of the project manager has changed, you know. Earlier, project used to be evaluated on the famous quality triangle that I made reference to earlier. So we have the time, scope, and quality and cost, of course. And those metrics are still very much relevant. But I would say now with digital transformation projects, the outlook on project has changed, you know. Um, so as I said, now projects, we've oftentimes heard that projects are 70% communication, and today that statement has never been more accurate. Projects are now more focused and centered around people. And so for the project manager, soft skills such as emotional intelligence and communication has become vital. And also, it's important to highlight the evolution of the project management methodology itself. Over the past decade, we have evolved from the traditional project methodology, also known as waterfall or linear method, to agile. And look at the traditional waterfall project methodology, you'd see that it has a very top-down approach. So it has a very strict sequential approach, and each phase has to be completed before the next one starts. So the traditional project methodology works best for projects where the end goal is clear, like for example, building a building. So building a house, building a mall, things like that. So more of a building infrastructure where you actually know 70 or 95% how it would look like. But then, of course, we have the agile method. And the agile method came, I would say, mostly with software development, where it's more of a cyclic, iterative process. And it allows the team to collaborate more effectively with stakeholders for constant feedback. So let's say, for example, we are building an app for a ride sharing. And let's say at so what would the project team do is that they would not deliver the full mobile application in one go. What they would do is they would break down the project into small blocks and deliver those in sprints, which can be 1 or 2 weeks. So let's say in the first sprint, and they would deliver the homepage. And let's say initially we said we wanted the logo to be on the top left or top right corner, whatever. And when we see the first block delivered, we see that, okay, this does not look good. We don't want the logo to be on top. We want it to be, let's say, at the bottom. So the team can easily incorporate that change. So Agile welcomes change and is specifically suited for those dynamic environments where user requirements might be changing, or it's not easy to say that, okay, I want this mobile application to look exactly this way, you know, because UI UX tend to differ. So Agile is most suited for those dynamic environments, like I said. So that I would say has been the evolution of project management over the past decade.
Thank you for that. That's quite interesting, Geshna. And it's true that, like you shared, COVID-19 or so many impacts and so many different methodologies and ways that people work across borders, globally, using digital tools as well. So this digital transformation also, I think, impacted the way we use project methodologies. And it's always interesting to see how that evolution has sprung forth. In regards to that, I have a quote from Giants that says, "Operations keep the lights on, strategy provides a light at the end of the tunnel, but project management is the train engine that moves the organization forward." And I guess that with all these different methodologies, all the innovative ways that come to help a project move forward, all of these elements are really essential And my next question to you is there any particular field where you have seen any distinct change that has been observed since you mentioned earlier about change, and we understand that change is actually the normal constant?
Yes, definitely. And the first example that I would take is, of course, software development. And as I said earlier, I truly believe that software development has kind of inspired the shift from traditional to agile methodologies, where the delivery is more iterative, customer focused, and highly collaborative. And one of the frameworks that is predominantly used in software development is Scrums. As I said, so the team would break down the project into blocks which get delivered in short sprints, which can be 1 or 2 weeks. And then you have daily stand-up meetings where the team kind of meet, 15 minutes, align on what are the priorities for the week, and kind of address issues that they are facing. And then, of course, there are retrospective. So at the end of each sprint, the team kind of meet and say, okay, in this particular sprint, sorry, these things went great. Let's continue doing them. And these things didn't go that great. Let's see how we can improve. So this allows the team to kind of get constant feedback and continuously improve. So we're not going to wait for the full project to end and say that, okay, these are my lessons learned. Now we will implement them in the next project. In Agile, it allows the team to get constant, faster feedback so they can improve during the course of the project itself. So we're not kind of waiting for a full year to go by and then say, okay, these are the things we need to improve. We are improving each week, basically, in Scrum. And there's also this concept of continuous integration and continuous delivery, which has really transformed the way teams deploy software nowadays, which is like faster and with fewer errors. And as I said, the role of the project manager has evolved. So today it's not this command and control kind of um, approach, it's more of a collaborative approach. So the project manager has now become more of a facilitator, empowering the team and enabling them to kind of deliver the project and removing roadblocks. So it's more of a servant leader, I would say, the role of the project manager now. And the next example that I would take is the construction industry. So now with the introduction of building information modeling, you can have real-time 3D modeling of the infrastructure that you want to build. And this allows for better planning, coordination, and really significantly reduces, design changes and errors. And in addition, the construction industry has also kind of seen the impact of lean methodology, the lean principle, and so lean construction has really transformed the way projects are managed now in the sector. The focus more is now on more how do we eliminate waste and improving the process flow and basically delivering more value to the stakeholders. So I would say those are the two industries where I've kind of seen the change happen in the past few years.
Oh, that's very interesting. Nowadays, like people are relying more and more on software development tools and applications. We're in an era where the moment we buy a phone, it's full of applications. And it's true that like the development of these softwares are essential to take into consideration the end user as well. And I like the fact that project management also is more like the collaborative exercise nowadays, as you mentioned. And it's so important that team members have a sense of belonging, type of
Yeah.
engagement where they feel like they're contributing positively to a project. And in
Yeah.
regards to that, like we need tools. And my next question would be, how does the use of tools improve the contribution and impact of women working on different projects?
Um, I would definitely say that now with the whole culture of remote work, working from home, digital collaboration tools, and these digital transformation projects have really become impactful and improving the contribution and, of course, the impact of women in projects. And so now I would definitely say that with remote teams and online platforms, it has kind of made it easier for women, especially mothers, to enter and thrive in the world of project management because now you have more like flexible working hours. And so women can lead and contribute to complex projects without being restricted by rigid schedules or physical presence. And also, as I mentioned earlier, emotional intelligence has become a vital skill. And many women naturally bring those skills, empathy, active listening, and people-centered leadership into their roles. And with tools that support real-time feedback and team sentiment, those skills are amplified, allowing women to lead with impact. And of course, then we have tools that support real-time collaboration and communication. You have Jira boards, Miro boards, where team can kind of brainstorm ideas and come up with solutions. So I personally feel that tools, such as collaboration tools, has kind of really made it easier when it comes to problem solving, because now we can have a Miro board where people are brainstorming actively anywhere from the world. So you kind of have a lot of ideas coming together, and this makes it easier to solve problems because you have a more diverse set of ideas that are coming to you. And also automated dashboards. For me, I would say that automated dashboards have really helped me save hours every week, because you don't have to um, go every single week, go prepare a PowerPoint presentation because you have a meeting with your management. You can, with these automated tools now, they kind of create the dashboard themselves. You just have to input your updates and your dashboard is ready. So that really kind of makes your life easier because especially as women, when you're juggling your personal life with studies and work, it kind of makes it difficult to do those many things, and these tools can really be a lifesaver. And so I personally believe that digital tools are not just about managing tasks, but they're also about enabling people. And when used intentionally, they create more inclusive, balanced, and high performing teams where women can truly shine.
That's wonderful because at the end of the day, like what can help to simplify the life of a woman and to improve her quality, her performance in any project is always laudable. And I believe like you shared, with the use of automated tools, and I believe with the advent of AI and so
Yeah.
different digital transformation eras, like women are actually getting more and more access to those tools and helping to deliver better projects. And what has been a personal game changer for you in terms of tools?
So for me, one tool that has really helped me in my journey as a project manager, I would say Smartsheet, because really it has saved me hours because instead of having to build a PowerPoint presentation every single week, if I need to, it does it for me automatically. So that is one. And then of course, as you mentioned, AI, ChatGPT is I would say a very helpful assistant. So using AI however you can to make things easier, make things happen more quickly is really a win in itself. So I would say, yeah, Smartsheet for project management, and then of course, ChatGPT to help you do your things faster, quicker. Sometimes you just need to have some bullet points and then you take it over from there. So ChatGPT gives you those, and then you take it over, you amplify that. So really, AI is a great tool, and I think all women should use AI.
Wonderful. And can you give us an example in terms of even planning how like this tool can be used?
Yeah. So let's say we want to plan an event, and this particular event is we're going to celebrate International Women's Day. And so before we plan that event, of course, we need to define what would be the objective of the event. Maybe we want to have a talk on women entrepreneurship, we want to have a talk on AI. So to kind of define what we want to achieve with that event, we want to bring women together so they can network and connect. So we will define our event objective, and then we'll define a budget for it and then get it approved, seek our sponsorship, and then, of course, the logistics, food and beverages, and technology. And then once we have our discussion topics, discussion themes, we will invite our invitees, our speakers, and then, of course, we will brief everyone on how the event would go by. Next is basically we need to now market our event. We will have our social media posts, we will design them, we will post them, we'll send our invitations, and then of course we have the event itself. So on the event day, we'll have to coordinate activities, conduct the workshop, and then finally post-event, we will send some feedback forms. We will kind of meet, debrief, and see what has been the things that went great, what didn't go that great, how we can improve. So this is my project plan for basically an event. And now how do I translate this into my tool, Smartsheet? So now I'll take you through Smartsheet where I will show you what are the different steps on how we can transform this project plan that we have here into Smartsheet.
Awesome. And thank you already for inspiring us with your personal experience. And we'll look forward to the second part of this presentation with a demo. So we can see your screen.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, Smartsheet, as I said, is an Excel. You can definitely look at it and say that this is Excel. What is it? What's great about it? So I would like to add that this is Excel with collaboration and automation capabilities. So as you can see, it's the same project plan that we've just gone through in the slides. I have my different tasks here, and I can assign the task. And of course, I can track the status, if it's in progress, completed, or blocked, not started. And I can then, if it's started, I can then say, okay, it's 50% completed or it's 100% completed, whatever. And then, of course, I have my start and end date. I can do this on Excel. And even on the health, you can then add some conditional formatting to say that, okay, if the date is, we've completed the task and it's within the date, please make it a green bubble, or if it's overdue, make it a red bubble. I think we can do that on Excel. And a little formula even for the duration, that's even you can do on Excel. But what Smartsheet gives you is that, let's say, I want to seek sponsorship. But before I can do that, there is this concept of predecessors in project management that basically defines what are the relationship between the different tasks that you have in your project plan. So, for example, for the seek sponsorship story, I cannot seek sponsorship until and unless I have my budget approved. And so in Smartsheet, you can set that by using I'm going to search for the budget approval task, and I'm going to say finish to start, which basically means I need to have my budget approved. So it needs to be finished so I can start to seek sponsorship. And I can do that for all the different events. So, for example, I cannot invite my speakers unless and until I have decided what are the themes that I want to discuss. So I click on edit, I go and look for that search finalize event. There it is. And again, so I need to finish finalizing the event theme and topic before I can start to identify and invite my speakers. So basically, this allows you to create the relationship between the different tasks. And that comes handy when you want to display this in a Gantt chart. So those you would see that the relationship between the different tasks are then defined in the Gantt chart. So that's what Smartsheet allows you to do. Um,
Do you know how Smartsheet helps with stakeholders as well? In terms
Yeah, because you can have some managers who ask you, but I want to see the Gantt chart,
Mhm.
and others would like, I don't understand the Gantt chart. I want to see what is the progress. And there is the card view, which is again a very useful tool. Like for example, it's just basically showcasing I have it open here. So it's basically showcasing the project plan, the tasks in the project in a different view. So you would see that at a glance, I can see that I have 12 tasks that have not started. I have three of them in progress, and I have two completed and one blocked. So some managers and some stakeholders kind of want to view the project differently. So Smartsheet allows you to cater for those different stakeholder groups. Some like a Gantt chart, some want the basic Excel, they are fine with it. Others want this particular view. There are different views that you can work on that really kind of helps you cater to the needs of different stakeholders. So if you're going into a meeting, you can go with your this Excel sheet, but then let's say someone asks you, but I want to see the Gantt chart, and then you can just switch to the Gantt chart. So you don't need to have you don't need to be using different tools or creating different dashboards for the different user groups or the different stakeholder groups. One tool helps you kind of cater to the needs of the different stakeholder groups that you would have in your project.
Right. That's really interesting. And how about like, are
Yeah.
there elements to measure like the performance or any metrics?
Yeah, so you can have Smartsheet allows you to get some reports from to create some reports from the grid that you have here, but it
Mhm,
also allows you to create a real-time dashboard. So, for example, let's say this is actually a dashboard that I have created, and this dashboard actually is automatically updated. So, let's say I want to let me do something very quickly. I'm just gonna complete a lot of tasks, and you'd see that I do not need to actually update the dashboard. It's going to update directly. So let's just, sorry. So you can see here we have only two that is completed. I'm just going to complete at least six of them so you can see how it looks on the dashboard without me having to update it. So I'm going to save this. So I have one, two, three, four, five, six tasks that have been completed. I just need to, let me just see if without no, it's not updated. I need to reload the sheet here.
I think that what's nice also is that whenever you have like that type of performance, it's also something that you can include, for example, in a presentation to show where you have reached,
Yeah.
what has been achieved, what
Mhm.
has been completed, what is still in the red list, as we say. Is it a free
Exactly.
tool
So
as well,
before,
or is it a paid one?
actually, it's a paid tool. I'm not
Okay.
very well aware of what's the price of the tool, but
Mhm,
it really gives you a lot of functionality. So let's say before the dashboard loads, I think it's loaded. Yes,
mhm,
it is. As you can see, I just reloaded the page and now I have completed seven. So I don't need to go ahead and update a PowerPoint presentation because I have a meeting tomorrow. I just need to update my sheet. Or
mhm,
if it's up to date, the dashboard is already up to date. And as you can see here, it gives you, this is basically how I can, what I can show to my managers to kind of see for them to see the project performance matrix. So I can have an overview. So the project started the 7th of February and ended on the 3rd. It was supposed to end on the 3rd of March. And you have the project health, so it's in progress, and you have the progress. So what are the tasks that have not started? What are the tasks that are blocked? What are the tasks that have completed? And to which team members have the tasks been assigned? So, for example, here you can see that Harley, which is a fictional character here, has seven tasks assigned to them. So I can say that, okay, maybe giving seven tasks to Harley would be too cumbersome for him. I can share the workload with Aviv or Guadalupe. So I can then, reassign tasks because at one glance, I can definitely say that Holly is kind of overloaded now. What can I do better as a project manager to reassign the tasks and reduce the workload for them? And then, of course, you have the little reports that I was talking about where you can view tasks that are due. So you would see that I have these two tasks that are, if I'm doing a review with the team members, I can uh, at one glance see that I have two tasks that are pending at Aviv, and I can then ask update what's going on and everything. And then you have the tasks by status. You would see at a glance again what are the tasks that have been completed, not started, etc., etc. So it allows you to. There's no need to kind of create a PowerPoint presentation on the eve of a meeting. You can
mhm.
just have your be on top of a game, update your smart sheet, and your slide is ever ready. And different things that you can also add on Smartsheet, of course, you can share it with your team members. But if, let's say, I want to add a comment to this task, I can definitely do that on the conversation tab here. So I can tag people. I don't know if this is bothering you guys. So yeah, I can tag, for example, Jenny, and I'm going to ask Jenny, can you please give me an update on this task?
Mhm.
So you can tag the people in your team, um, give me an update. You can tag the different people, or let's say I want to add a proof of, I want to add an attachment. So, for example, let's say I've done my social media posts, I want to attach the file, I can definitely do that. Or if I want to, I've completed a particular task and I want to add the proof that I have completed the task, I can add an attachment again. So it allows you to really kind of also create a database of a repository for your project. You can have your different project files already all in one smart sheet. So you can have the scope that is signed by the different parties, attach it to the project here, and then as you go along the project, you don't need to go through your mails and see, okay, where is this scope that I was signed? It's here on your smart sheet. So it kind of really gives you this one single platform that you can, of course, collaborate and work with your team, but it also gives you the dashboard that you can show to your management. It gives you a full repository of the project. The scope, the contract, anything that you want to have is in one single tool. You don't need to juggle through your emails. You don't need to go through your PowerPoint. It's one single platform that allows you to do your job quickly and easier. So,
That's
yeah.
that's very insightful because you get like the project scope, the project time management, the project kind of you can even include like the project quality, the performance, the progress that is seen.
Yeah.
And from there you can actually create like the project risk management and the project cost as well. So there are so many elements that can be included that can be seen in one dashboard then.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You can create different sheets like this one. For example, let's say I want to create a different sheet. I want to add the cost of this particular task. And I can, I'm doing it in the same sheet, but let's say you don't want it to be in the same sheet. You can just create a new one and actually say that, okay, define the objective. There's no cost to it. But let's say I will need to 20,000 rupees to complete my project. So you can actually track this is not going to work for this one particular one, but for different projects, like for example, when you're doing a construction project or if you're doing a software project, you can definitely add the cost to the different elements and actually track what has been the cost that you have, or even the resources. Let's say if I'm going to, if again, this does not fit the example that I'm going to say, but let's say I want to have the front page of the main page, let me put main page, that would cost me 2 man hours. So I can even track the man hours of the different tasks of my project. So it allows you to do a lot of things because it's an Excel. Everyone knows how to fill an Excel and do the things. Whatever data you can have on an Excel, you can then actually map it with more
Hmm.
automation and collaboration, basically.
Because what's interesting with what you share also is because at the end of the day, one of the biggest challenge that a lot of project offices, a lot of project managers have is about tracking,
Mhm.
tracking the progress,
Yeah.
tracking the team, tracking the assigned tasks, tracking like even the risks, the potential risks or the present risk. And I like that this kind of dashboard actually allows you to track so many different elements and give you like some metrics that are important into your understanding. And I think it's so helpful, especially in large projects where you have so many different elements to include, a lot of people to manage, a lot of aspects to manage as well. So I feel that it's really helpful in that way.
Yeah, definitely. And also, you don't need to kind of just share it and track it like an Excel. You can have automation. So I can create actually automation from a template. Let's say I want to alert someone on a specific date. I can do that using templates. So Smartsheet gives you the opportunity to kind of create different automations using templates. So you don't need to go do everything from scratch. And I would also want to show you this actually is you can create different types of project on Smartsheet. So I can use actually, if I'm going to start a new project, I'm going to do home, start new project. So Smartsheet gives you all these templates here. So as you can see, you can have a simple project plan. Let's say it's a very simple project that you're managing. You have a simple project plan that you can use, or you like to work with work breakdown structures, schedule, sorry, you can do that. Or if you want to, I don't know, manage your campaigns or a simple agile project, or you are a project management office, you have multiple projects that also you can do. You want to track your budget, you want to do, it actually gives you a lot of templates. So you don't need to go and do everything from scratch yourself. It gives you a template that you can adapt to your use cases. So it really gives you a lot of tools that you can use to make your life easier.
Like the fact there are like thousands of possibilities on this tool that you can use, as I can see from simple project plan, from project portfolios, task list. It's fantastic to be able to have access to different possibilities because every project has a specific a methodology or a uniqueness or a specific service or aspect that it is producing, and to be able to have like
Mhm.
different templates that one can access, I think it facilitates and it simplifies a lot of things for people involved in projects.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of Smartsheet because you don't need to know you don't sometimes you embark on a project and you don't know how where to get started, and I think Smartsheet gives you that advantage because it has templates for you that kind of gives you a level ground, a playing ground, so you can start somewhere and you build on that. You don't need to know everything from scratch because earlier myself I used to be so lost. Sometimes you're like, I have this particular project, I need to come up with a project plan, I have to have a very good tracking sheet. How do I do that? And
Mhm.
sometimes you're lost because you have a lot of tools, you don't know how this works, you don't know how that works. And so it kind of, instead you juggle from one tool to another. Sometimes you're just tracking on an Excel sheet and it kind of gets messy, and then you have to update a PowerPoint. But for me, I would say definitely say that Smartsheet has been that game changer that has really kind of made my life easier because I don't need to look at 10 different tools. I can have one single platform and I can track the different projects that I'm doing. And it really helps with those templates. I can vouch for that because I've used it really.
That's awesome. What I like also is the fact that you can engage a whole team with it and keep a whole
Yeah.
team accountable of a challenge. And I love the fact that a team, you can share with a team and you can engage with them and you can collaborate and track the
Yeah.
whole team's progress on that. And in that aspect, Geshna, our question for now would be like, how do you feel that team collaboration is essential into integrating the different elements of project management?
I'm a strong believer that people are at the heart of all projects that I manage. And for me, if the team believes in the project and they happen to kind of collaborate more effectively and they create an environment, and this really creates an environment where everyone is kind of engaged and working towards that shared goal that we have, and most importantly taking ownership of the project like it's their own, and also having a diverse team, people from different backgrounds, different departments, different expertise coming together and each bringing their own perspective and lens to the problem that we're trying to solve. So, for example, let's say I'm having a particular problem in the project and I would bring someone from customer experience, I would bring someone from IT, and it's like different people from different perspectives and different experience kind of coming together and brainstorming about the problem that we're having. It kind of gives rise to more diverse ideas of how we can solve the problem. So it kind of leads to more creative, inclusive, and more well-informed solutions because here we have everyone who is involved and who is consulted and bringing together their own perspective to the problem. And something that I personally believe in is having conversations with my team members, checking in with them. How are they feeling about this particular project? And I strongly believe that when people feel that they are heard and involved, they're more invested in the success of the project and they feel like it's their own baby. So they kind of become more engaged, and this sense of ownership that it's my project too, it kind of drives commitment and contribution. And so it allows for faster decision making because when you have the team who is collaborating, everyone is aware of what's happening, everyone is aligned on the vision. And so when you have a problem or you have any decision that needs to be made, it happens very quickly. And so that I would say have how team collaboration is a key in any project that you would do as a project manager.
Thank you.
I don't.
All right, so we have a question from Astrid Dissel. So her question is about Geshna, what do you prefer in terms of project management? Is it written communication or verbal communication?
I think this is more of a personal preference. I would say that I prefer verbal in-person communications because I feel that sometimes when you just write an email, the message does not go through, or you cannot understand what the other person is feeling, or how has it been received by the person. So I think for me personally, it's a very personal choice. I'd like to rather go to the team member, talk to them, understand what is the mindset or what is the thinking process. So I think for me personally, I prefer in-person verbal communications, because you can, read the expressions of the person, get a gist of what are they feeling, if they've been sick or something like that. So you just kind of get a feel of what the person is feeling, and then how you can adapt as a project manager to really kind of meet the person halfway. Because sometimes, it's very difficult to, you can have someone who does not want to collaborate. So meeting that person can really help you meet the person halfway, and, the work happens, the engagement happens, I would say.
All right, wonderful. And you mentioned about the access to tools, but how do you think that this deployment, Geshna, especially for women, is beneficial? Let us say in the local context of Mauritius, because we understand that if you ask someone to construct a house, you have to give that person the tools and the materials. But when it comes to women as well, and the good thing is that we see more and more women in the STEM fields, how do you feel that this access to tools should become also a priority to help this generation of women?
I would definitely say that tools are really what helps you do jobs. I mean, I definitely believe in the power of tools, because for me personally, they have been empowering in terms of, let's say, let's take the very simple example of ChatGPT. I would like to consider ChatGPT as a tool. So let's say I want to start a new business, or I want to build a house, and I want to know what's the process of building a house. Because let's say, as a woman, I want to know what are the different processes involved in building a house. Of course, I would have ChatGPT, I would have YouTube, and then I need to know what are the different things that I need to do to be able to complete that house. Makes sense. But let's say I go on YouTube and I say that, okay, they have to get the foundations first, and then they will build the walls, and then they would do the first fix. So they would do the wiring. Sorry, not the wiring, but the conduits, and then they would do the wiring, and then they would fix the lights and the different aspects of the house. So let's say I didn't know all about that. So YouTube, ChatGPT can help me gain that knowledge, but how would that then manage my the project or the thing that I'm trying to build? Then of course you can have something as simple as a smart sheet or an Excel file, or even Jira. Jira actually is a sort of a free tool for agile project management that is, I think, for 10 team members, it is free. So I think really tools enable you to do your job better. And I I think being curious also is what helps, because sometimes asking the right questions to ChatGPT or Google really kind of help you um, gain access to information, and tools can kind of aid into whatever thing you're trying to do, be it a project, be it but something that you want to build, basically.
Yeah, I think like what you said adds value to like how women plan to use that societal web of work, of career, of project management. And it's true that, as you mentioned, we need those tools, but also like, the best way also is to have also a diverse team of people, something that you mentioned also
Yeah.
earlier. And I think that like if we had to sum up, so it's really about the people, it's about the processes, it's about the access, it's about the follow-up, it's about the performance, it's about measuring, tracking, and there is no project that is going to be successful if any of these elements is lacking somewhere. Because you can have a beautiful
Yeah.
project, but if, for example, in the example that you mentioned, if you can't track where the construction has progressed or what is missing in terms of material, it's difficult to know how much is left to be invested in terms of costing. And in some large projects, it takes a lot of results, it takes a lot of emotional intelligence, a lot of deployment with access to tools to actually manage. So the good thing is we feel like, well, now with tools like ChatGPT and so many others that are coming, a lot of women have more access to what they can share. I don't know if anyone in the audience, the participants, want to add anything on any other tools that they are using. We had a question. How have you felt when you first started working on the project with the company that you are at?
Okay. Um, okay, I would start the story. Actually, when I first joined this new unit where I work at as a project manager, to be honest, was overwhelmed with self-doubt and imposter syndrome because, so as I said, first there was that feeling of self-doubt because it was really a big project and I was really basically imposter syndrome kind of hovering onto me and saying that, Geshna, you can't do it. So that was the first impression that I had. I mean, the first feeling that I had when I was first given the project. But then working with the team, different team members across the departments, I would say definitely the support and the engagement of the team members had really helped me overcome that imposter syndrome. And of course, the tools that I had to do the job that I was trying to do. So tools, of course, help you and empower to do your job. But for me, what really worked was that the team spirit and the team engagement in that particular project. I really believe in people first. And so I always put people first. And having that engagement, having a sportive team has really helped me, I would say, because for one, I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know what a CRM was, to be honest. So when I was given this first project of mine, which is it was a really huge one, and I didn't even know what is a CRM. I didn't know how it works. I didn't know what a sales pipeline is. And so I had to really kind of learn what are the processes, how does this fit this ecosystem? And once the team has kind of given me that information, empowered me with that information, I was like comfortable. And then, of course, the tools came in helping me with the tracking, the dashboards, and everything. So that I would say it was the people I was working with, and tools that have really helped me complete or do that project. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome too. Thank you for sharing your experience. I feel that like what you shared, having, that community of team members who are supportive about the different roles on a project, it's a massive game changer. I've seen like with MIT also how like whenever they have projects, they don't just take people with a technical background. They actually include like creatives, people from arts, the art side, people from all walks of life into the deliverer project. And this is like, that comes to one of the code that I'd like to share, that the P in project management is as much about people management as it is about project management. This code is from Cornelius Fitchner, and you can form part of a project, but if as a person you don't feel any sense of belonging to that project, there's no way you're going to perform correctly. The challenging role of the project manager nowadays is he's not just managing the work processes, but he has to lead people. And you mentioned about emotional intelligence in the beginning. And I think the aspect of emotional intelligence is key in connecting with people and understanding like where, for example, to assign tasks, but where also like to understand why a task is not being assigned and if someone is having too much task and how to realign and reassess that the processes, but leading the hearts also of people and connecting them to the cause. And thank you so much, Geshna, for having inspired us this evening with your insights on project management and the very interesting things that we do. We're really proud of you as a woman, and it's always a pleasure to see women shining in the field of project management and using technology to make things happen. Thank you so much for your great insights this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
And on this, since there are no more questions, I want to thank you once again, Geshna. I want to thank the audience for your participation, your questions, Astrid, and the personal questions as well that others had. And thank you very much. I wish you a lovely evening and looking forward to welcome you for another episode. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.